What's up everybody, BigSweetC here with you. Got a special little video for you today. Today I want to talk about a game that we just finished up on the old Twitch Arena, retro streaming, the original Final Fantasy. This is probably the game, and I've said this a couple of times before, but this is probably the game that got me into video games. I remember pouring just hours and hours into this game, and having replayed it recently, even though it was on the PS1 remastered version, they call it Final Fantasy Origins. You get the original 1 and 2 with just updated graphics, a little bit updated grammatical changes in the story, but almost step by step identical to the original. Even though we were playing the remastered version, it really brought out the nostalgia and my love for this game. If you are unfamiliar with the story in itself, it's actually a pretty basic Japanese RPG fantasy role-playing game that was developed by Square, released in December of 1987. It follows 4 mysterious people who come to be known as the Light Warriors, and their sole purpose is to bring about the rebalancing of the world. Each one of these Light Warriors holds a crystal. Each one of those crystals then represents the 4 elements of the world, and those crystals need to be repowered for the world to rebalance itself. You start out in the small kingdom of Conora. You end up traveling across the world collecting magical items that allow you to fly, allow you to use super attack spells, allow you to use some of the best weapons you can find in any of the Final Fantasy franchise games, and even upgrade your character classes. When you do manage to take out the 4 Fiends of Elements, you've got Lich, the Earth Fiend, you've got Merilith, the Fire Fiend, Kraken, the Water Fiend, and Tiamat, the Wind Fiend. You get into the real story. They send you back 2,000 years into the past, where you take on an evil monstrous form by the name of Chaos, who has been planting this disease of the world for some time. Eventually, the Light Warriors are able to defeat Chaos and bring balance back to the world. Now, when I first played this, to be honest with you, the story was probably the least part of it for me. It was the actual gameplay. For anybody who doesn't know, this is actually the very first game that was in the Dungeons and Dragons genre, for lack of a better term. Yes, there had been other games such as Dragon Warrior in the United States, Dragon Quest, better known as Dragon Quest in Japan. There were those types of games, but this one was different in a bunch of different ways. So first and foremost, you had the 4 elements. Each of the 4 elements had a weakness: ice and fire, wind and water. This was the first time that it had ever been brought into a video game. This is also the first. This was also a game that gave you multiple party affiliations. You were 4 party members instead of the standard 1. There was 6 character classes to choose from, which gave you ample replay availability and endless amounts of different types of customization in the party you put together and the type of journey that you went on with said party. Now, the updated graphics are fantastic in this updated version, but the beauty of this particular remake is they give you the option to play as the original difficulty setting or an easy mode. So for anybody who hasn't played this before, one of the biggest draws to the original release was the fact that it was so very challenging. That was part of the beauty of it. Now, the updated version gives you that same kind of difficulty, while also simultaneously rewarding you bonus experience and money to lessen the need for such a grind. In my opinion, this was a fantastic addition to it because you still have the challenge of the original without sacrificing any of the content quality or boring the player by forcing them to run back and forth doing randomly encountered enemy fights on the map just so they can buy a new weapon or defeat a new boss. This was very well done from top to bottom in terms of graphics, in terms of staying to the original idea, and also giving somebody that hasn't played such a type game a wonderful entry-level design, entry-level position into the originally super difficult and super time-consuming Japanese RPGs, turn-based RPGs. Now, the other thing that has come up while playing this is I think this is a prime candidate for a upgraded version. I don't want to say that they should remaster it. I don't think that they should blow it up into 1080p 4K video for PlayStation 5 or Xbox One, Xbox Series X, or anything to that effect. But I do think this is a game that has actual value for even next-gen consumers. And it got me thinking, because we all know PlayStation, for whatever reason, doesn't like to do backwards compatibility. So I actually do think this is a prime candidate for a re-release, is what I will call it. Not necessarily a remaster. I think they should absolutely put this on the PS5 store, because I just don't understand why not. Now, I do realize that the PS2 backwards compatibility was cut due to monetary issues. That emotion engine that they built into the PlayStation 2 apparently cost a ton of money, and it was significantly increasing cost of production, so that I understand. But you also see them remastering the PS2 games on a regular basis. So you've got Final Fantasy X and X-2 were remastered for PS4. 12 was remastered to the Zodiac Age, which is now available on PS4, PS5. And so I'm curious as to why they haven't decided to do this for any of the original ones. My best assumption can only be because they don't want to maybe pay Nintendo royalty fees to then use their game. That would be my only thing. Or maybe Nintendo just won't license a remaster. But considering Sony and Square have such a ongoing relationship, I find it hard to believe that they can't come to some sort of agreement. I also find it highly unlikely that the PS5, the PS4 for that matter, can't handle the 16-bit graphical update of the Final Fantasy Origins remake, if you will. Now, I know Sony has come out and said this before, but the gentleman said something, and I've never heard anything more idiotic in my entire life when it comes to backwards compatibility. But this dude named Jim Ryan told Time Magazine in 2017, "We've dabbled with backward compatibility. I can say it one of those features that is much requested but not actually used much. That now was at a Gran Turismo event recently where they had PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4 games. And the PS1 and the PS2 games looked ancient. And he questioned why anybody would want to play this. That, in my opinion, is the most ignorant statement I've ever heard in my entire life, because clearly this dude is super out of touch. Just go to the Retro channel on Twitch, and there's hundreds of thousands of people watching standard Nintendo, Super Nintendo, video games, Sega games, like back when Sega was its own company, video games. It is one of the largest channels on Twitch, and that's the beauty, is the fact that it doesn't look so update and modern. The 16-bit look is what draws me to playing old school games. And so for him to say that it's not actually used that much, or that no one would play it because it looks terrible. It's just mind-bogglingly ignorant, in my opinion. So I don't think they should give it a graphics update. I just think they should allow us to play it. But if you do get a chance, I highly recommend it. You can get it on PS3. You can also obviously get it on PS1 if you have PS1, working PS1 still. But the nostalgia is real, and it's absolutely fantastic. This was a beautiful playthrough that I'm glad we got to do, and I hope you guys all do give yourself a chance to check it out, because they just don't make games like this anymore. There's a patience to it. There's for a lack of a better term, there is a purpose to it. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of games that you can just kind of play and you just play through it. Now, this game, it kind of forces you to grind away at it and learn how to play the game. That has always been one of my favorite draws of the Final Fantasy franchise, is if you don't know how to play them, they're not really games that hold your hand. It's one of the draws that I have to the From Software games. They're not really games that are going to sit there and just let you beat them. And so to go back and having played this again on PS1 was absolutely phenomenal, and I highly recommend, if you get a chance to go back and play this one, I think you should. I also urging Sony, I'm urging Square Enix, do whatever it is you got to do to continue allowing people to play this game, because it is phenomenal. It is a great introduction into what the video game RPG industry would become, and yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I think you will too. Either way, I know I didn't really go anywhere with this video, but I just kind of wanted to give this a review. Metacritic actually gave this remake a glowing review, which is kind of surprising. They usually trash remakes. So if you get a chance to play this one instead of the one on, I hear the one on Game Boy Advance is not all that great. Either way, let me know if you think of any other games that deserve maybe a remaster or a remake or a re-release, if you will. Hit the comments down below. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, so you know when I do drop a new video or go live. Again, on Sundays, we are finishing up Fallout New Vegas this Sunday, and then we're going to move on to something else after that, so be sure to hit that up. If you want to follow some of the more retro stuff and see a little bit more of the live streams, head on over to Twitch and hit that follow button, hit that notification bell over there. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter if you guys want to follow over there. But either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me, wishing YouTube, that's you, wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. Long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. Sweetness, signing off. Peace.